Check the description for the following discount codes. Now, I've had my LG OLED C1s for exactly a year now. In fact, if I can find a picture, I'll put it up where they arrived in their 3 boxes, and I had them in my kitchen. I remember taking a picture of it, but you can see them set up in the background there. And obviously I use them for sim racing, but they support everything you would want for any sort of gaming related setup, even if it isn't just sim racing. They're 120 Hz, they're 4K, they're HDR, they support G-Sync, FreeSync, VRR, variable refresh rate, that's your console version. All over HDMI 2.1, there's no display ports on these. And of course you get all the benefits of an OLED screen. Ridiculous, response times and low input latency, comparable and even better than a lot of gaming, marketed and branded monitors. And of course you get your inky blacks, literally black is black, it doesn't really get any better than that. So from a visual point of view and a sort of user response and experience point of view, OLEDs are just brilliant. They are of course expensive, although these 2021 models, C1s, are now only just over £1,000 on Amazon, so I will put a link to them there because I can't recommend them enough, at least for my use case. And this is what we need to talk about, because what I do, sim racing, means I probably play for no longer than maybe 2 to 3 hours continuously. That's my typical session's probably about a couple of hours. Sometimes they can be shorter, sometimes they can go on a bit longer. But let's say 2-hour sessions is probably a good average for me. So that's how long all those 3 displays will be on for. And I don't have any static images on the screen. I don't have, lap times or position leaderboard, nothing like that static on my screen. I've got a digital dash off to one side that I can have stuff like that on if I want to. And if you're in a car that has, lap times and stuff, that'll be moving up and down with the dashboard moving up and down in the game anyway. So nothing is truly static on the screen at any point. Not during play anyway. If I've got it sat on a menu, then obviously it's going to be something static there, but you're never in the menus for very long. So you need to bear this in mind when we look at whether I've got any screen burn-in or not. I'm going to run like a screen burn-in test, and I haven't actually ran it yet, so I don't even know the answer to the question of whether I've got any burn-in. I haven't seen any in normal use, but it doesn't mean it isn't there. The way these screen burn-in tests work is it's just a YouTube video, and it'll put up a full screen static image in an array of different colours, and you'll be able to see whether there's any image burn into the screen. In fact, I'll put some images up now of what screen burn-in or image retention looks like with the various different colours showing. And what we'll do in a minute, I'll literally go over there and play this YouTube video, and I'll put the camera that I'm looking at now on a tripod over there, looking at the centre screen. In fact, if I can get it to go across all 3, I don't know if YouTube will full screen across all 3 screens or not. If it does, I'll do it across all 3. If not, I'll just focus on one. But they've all had exactly the same usage. It doesn't really make any difference. Whatever works best from a visual point of view for us to be able to look at it is what I'll do. But you can see there in those images I just showed you what burn-in looks like and why people worry about it and why you don't want it. Because if you're, depending on what type of games you play, if you do have static elements on the screen for long periods of time, and then you switch over to maybe use the TV as a TV as well, you want to watch a film or watch some YouTube or TV, and there's a logo of your favourite computer game in the corner, or an energy bar, or or a leaderboard if it is sim racing that you do, that is going to be a bit of a downer. Now there is pixel shift technology and other things the LG TVs do to try and prevent burning, and of course running like the brightness lower and stuff will help, but you don't want to do that. Everything on mine is maxed out for maximum quality. I have none of the energy saving features on, the brightness is not turned down, it's all calibrated as much as I can do at home here for the best possible image quality, and that means basically it's as bright as it needs to be to give me the best image. So there's no I haven't sort of tweaked anything because I worried about burning. I didn't worry about it. I was more curious about what would happen over time. But as I say, this is my use case scenario. It is a real world, real life use case scenario, which I feel is important, because you might find online and on other YouTube videos, people doing specific things where they'll purposely put static images on the screen for however many hours just to see whether it burns in. That isn't a real life use case scenario unless you actually do that. This is my real life use case scenario as a sim racer, running triple, LG OLEDs, and they just look amazing. I'll put a little video up of what it looks like, when you're sat in there. I mean, some of you will have seen my dirt rally videos using the GoPro, but the GoPro camera's a bit crap, to be honest. It doesn't look very nice. But when you're sat in there, playing a game that's got proper triple screen support, it just looks so lifelike. You really can't beat the way an OLED screen looks. I know we've got QLED and a few other micro LED, is it? There's some other technologies emerging, but they're all still quite expensive at the moment, and I haven't looked too much into them. But we all know a good OLED panel gives you great image quality with really good response times, inky blacks, blah, 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 like I've already mentioned. But anyway, we know why OLEDs are good. We know why we worry they might be bad for gaming or sim racing because of the burn-in. So let's get over there now. I'll set up the tripod and we'll run this screen burn-in test. It's only about 40 seconds long as it cycles through the different colours, and we'll see whether I have any burn-in, because as I say, I haven't actually ran it. I'm going to do it literally live for the first time now on camera, and we'll see. I mean, I've got there's no bias for me. If there's burning on that screen, well, there's burning on it. That's just the way it is. Shit happens. If there isn't, there isn't. So we'll find out. It makes no difference to me. But what I can say is, at the moment, I've not noticed any during use. So if there is some there, it's probably only going to be minor. But we'll find out in a second. Okay, so I've literally just positioned the camera pointing at the middle screen. It won't full screen across all three, so I'm just going to have to do it across the middle one here. But let's just run it and see whether we have any burning. Now, I mean, hopefully it shows up well on the camera. I can't see any. I ran it literally once a second ago, which is why I could replay it. But I couldn't see anything, and I'm watching it again, and I still can't see anything on any of these colours at all. There's no image retention, there's no burning, there's no nothing. Now, as I say, I don't have static images on my screen, so I didn't really expect there to be any, but out of curiosity and for the sake of producing the video, I thought it would be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, I'll run it again just for fun, just in case something shows up on camera that I can't see with my own eyes, so to speak. I mean, I am colourblind slightly, so maybe there is a slight pattern hidden somewhere there that I might see when I edit this video. But so far, I'm going to say no, there isn't any burning. And so, at least for sim racing use, I can't see any reason why you wouldn't want to use one of these LG C1 OLEDs, or 3 of them if you can afford them, or even get the smaller size C1s. These are 55s, they do them in smaller sizes for a smaller triple setup. For me, they've just been brilliant. But right, yeah, okay, that's fine. That's that done. Let's go back to the desk and have a quick chat then. So yeah, I mean, like I say, I didn't think I'd seen any signs of burning in use, and running that very simple test that just puts those blank colours up on the screen one at a time, I couldn't see anything at all. Again, maybe when I look in editing in a minute, I might be able to pick some out, but you obviously can see for yourselves as well. And I wanted to do it with the camera on the tripod there so that you could see I was genuinely, video my screen, rather than doing like a screen capture where you wouldn't see any burning or anything. There's always skeptical people on YouTube that'll be like, oh no, OLEDs always burn in, it can't be true, it's all lies, Carl. So you could see I had the tripod set with the camera pointing at the screen. You can see my bezel-free kits, were there in the background as well. So it's a genuine test or representation of my 3 LG OLED C1s that I've had for the last 12 months. And as I say, just having a quick peek here on Amazon, they're £1,099. with it says 35% off. They were at 1,700. I'm sure they were only 1,500 when I got them, but then the price of things has gone up and down and all over the place in recent history for everything, especially based on, you know, supply and demand, availability. But yeah, they're £1,099, so 1,100 quid, and this is sold. It's sold through Amazon, but it's from Hughes Electrical. I checked on the Hughes site, the price is still the same. I checked on the John Lewis site, still 1,099. So those are sort of two of the major suppliers you might find here in the UK, and that's the price they're at. So there will be a link to them because they are a great screen, and they're available. If you want the 48-inch model, that's a bit cheaper. It's 150 quid cheaper. They do 65-inch options. They even do 75-inch. 77-inch options, sorry, which are £2,700. Imagine having three 77-inch of these OLED C1s. Now that would be something else. It's probably too big in actual fact. I remember Will from Boosted Media, he's got 65s, saying that he would actually have gone 55s, knowing what he knows now, because the 65s, because the size of the centre one determines where the other two are going to start, it's actually a bit too wide for some of the smaller, you know, single-seater cars that you might want to race in, and you're missing some of the detail, some of the car, because the screen's too wide, you can't see what's there. I've had it on those even when I was doing some kartcraft, and just because of how wide the screen is, when you've got your field of view set up correctly for the distance you're sat at, and everything's dialed in properly and calculated properly, I couldn't see much of my car at all. I mean, I could just about see half the sort of dashboard bit or the top of the steering wheel. So that is something to bear in mind actually when you're setting up big triples, is if you can, you know, ideally you want to be as close as you can, as long as your eyes can focus obviously and see what's going on. And you can go too big, depending what type of cars, you know, you want to be in. And the other thing is we sit centrally between our three triple screens. So when you look left and right and you've got like your driver's door needs to be closer to you and your passenger door needs to be further away, this is of course all done optically by, you know, reducing or increasing the size of the graphics. So the door that's nearer to you, you know, needs to look the right size so that it doesn't look like it's too far away or too close. You know, the passenger one, for example, is probably, I haven't really checked this, but it's probably rendered larger to accommodate for the fact that the screen is further away from you, or isn't further away. What am I trying to say here? The passenger's door in real life would be further away, but the screen is the same place as the driver's side screen. So for them to both look correct, one's got to be smaller, one's got to be bigger. Hopefully that made sense. But yeah, this is all interesting stuff that you have to start to play around with when you've got screens this big. When you've got smaller triples like 332s, they're not running down beside you, so there are no door cards to worry about, and the angles of them is not as tight either. You know, they're more, they get the smaller ones, you end up getting more like a big ultra wide really. So you don't have this sort of issue with, should I be seeing the door card, you know, here, and should I be able to see the armrest down there, or, you know, even the bit of the bucket seat that comes round, should that be in my peripheral vision? These are all things you don't experience if you don't have huge triple screens that run literally down past the back of your head. Smaller ones, you just don't have that to worry about. But it's all quite good fun, you know, playing around with and getting them all set up when I first got them. But anyway, I'm waffling on. The main point of the video was just to really tell people whether, for sim racing at least, because that's all I've used them for, and flight sim, whether you are likely to suffer any burn-in using specifically these LG OLED C1s, and more broadly probably any OLED panel. And the answer for me, in my use case, which is sim racing, you know, 2 to 3 hour play sessions over the last year, you know, probably once or twice a week, something like that, to average it out. It doesn't really work like that in real life. Some weeks I won't race at all, other weeks I'll race loads, but we'll average it out to, you know, 2 2-hour sessions a week, something like that. I've not got any visible burn-in at all, and they're still working perfectly, giving me an absolutely beautiful image, and I'm super glad that I've got them, because LG sent me those in actual fact as part of their launch for the C1 series last year. So I was super chuffed to be picked out to be sent 3 of those, because what a bonus. You know, I would never have coughed up the money for 3 of those at the time because they're expensive and it's just a bit extravagant really. But now I've got them, I ain't getting rid of them. Even if they burn in 3 years time, I'm still going to be using them because there's no getting away from having that huge experience inside, you know, triple 55s, especially when I put the roof on the top and the sort of the material down, you know, around the bottom there. It really, there's no distractions other than what you see on the screen. You really feel like you're in the car as much as you can do. Well, in games that support triples. Dirt Rally, of course, which is a strong favourite of mine, doesn't support triples, so you don't feel like you're in the car. You have to stare at the tip of the bonnet and hope that you don't get motion sickness from looking at the side screens. But that's just a problem with Dirt Rally and not a problem with triple screen setups. Anyway, enough of my usual waffleage. As always, thank you very much for watching and take it easy.